All right. Welcome back to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here to talk about all things professional wrestling, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So, guys, it is Friday. I hope you guys had an amazing Friday. If you all have some pretty awesome plans on Saturday, make sure you hit them up in the chat link. Or, tell me about wrestling, whatever. It's anything to get the conversation started. Just love them, love the audience, having more of a relaxed, kind of calming feeling. Share what you guys are doing right now. Tell me what kind of beverage you're sipping on. Tell me what kind of snacks, health. Even tell me what you had for dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a food enthusiast. Actually, I'm a chef as well as like a server at a senior living facility in Temecula, California. And to be honest, it's pretty lively. Always talking about food and stuff like that. But it's not a food podcast. This is a wrestling podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. Today we have our WWE Smackdown preview. We have my Thursday Night Wrestling review, TNA, Ring of Honor. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the National Wrestling Alliance as well. And then we're going to talk about AEW Collision, Rampage happening on during the weekend. Rampage, of course, is tonight, but we're going to, preview that as well. We're going to talk about AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, seeming like they have come to a full agreement, seeming that HBO Max, well, now it's called Max, is fully all in on AEW, which is pretty cool, honestly, for the promotion in itself. And Tony Khan, I feel like it's really good. It's going to be amazing for the wrestling promotion. So we're going to dig into that. Lastly, every Friday, I want to leave you guys some wrestling headlines and breaking news that, all the action and behind the curtain, inside and outside of the ring, just so, we have something to think about, ponder over the weekend. So, but before we move on to any of that, I want to remind you guys that we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show to ensure that your question gets read on air in front of all the millions of viewers, the millions of Eric's fans out there. Uh, so make sure you hit up that the GSMCpodcast.net link. Shoot me your tips and donations and your comments, questions, and concerns. Love the audience. Love the audience. 1,010% a lot better when you guys are engaging in the subject matter. Once again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. Remember to subscribe to the show. Superman punch that like and follow to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, as well as the network at the GSMCpodcast.net. So yeah, don't be afraid to just do it. Make it like Nike and just do it. All right, first we're going to start with WWE Smackdown. I heard it's going to be a double taping tonight. I was kind of doing a little bit of research on SmackDown, and it's going to be a double taping tonight. I don't even know what that means. Like, maybe that, because on the East Coast, they do tape 3 hours earlier, like around 5, even when I'm, when I go to a couple of SmackDown or Raw shows, or even like, PLEs over here on the West Coast. Like, I watch No Mercy, and I think it started like 5:30. I was like, man, dude, I thought it was going to start like 8. Like, it's crazy because it's like, it's live, you know what I mean? But, so now we have, they're going to have WWE SmackDown tonight. They're also going to have an additional taping for the 7/26th episode. So, should be pretty interesting. I got a little bit of a scoop towards some matches that are going to happen on there, but I'm going to save it until we talk about next week's WWE SmackDown. A lot of stuff happening right now in the world. I know, there's an IT scare, maybe a cyber security attack or something like that. So, that maybe kind of, for me to like, the reason why they're doing double tapings for SmackDown is because, planes have been delayed. We're going to get into it in my wrestling news in my fifth segment. So make sure you stick around. But, traveling is going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Those who are traveling, those who are at the airport right now, good luck, stay patient. So make sure, you get your stuff done. Just kidding. So I'm pretty sure that's why they're doing double tapings, because Triple H is like, you know what, all y'all are here, so we might as well just get this done, give the fans an additional 2 hours of entertainment, which is the right thing to do. I feel like that's the 1,010%. But anyway, so we are at the CHI Health Center in Omaha, Nebraska. And we have Andrade taking on Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes ultimately blames Andrade for his loss at Money in the Bank, but overall, we knew whose problem was WWE creatives. You put the briefcase on Drew McIntyre. You had him wasted just to be beaten down by Seal. I'm just kidding. No. But no, I feel like I feel like the WWE ultimately wasted the Money in the Bank briefcase. You could have gave it to Andrade, could have gave it to Carmelo Hayes, could have gave it to Jey Uso, Chad Gable, put Finn Balor in there besides one of the other superstars, and it would have made it interesting. Would have made it interesting. You know what I mean? So Andrade takes on Carmelo Hayes tonight. Next, Logan Paul appears on live here on SmackDown. LA Knight has been wanting a shot at the United States Championship at SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio, Logan Paul's hometown. He has the signature from Nick Aldis. Obviously, he signed the contract himself. Now he's out to get the YouTube Stars contract just to make this official. And I feel like, since November, he's only defended his championship twice. Don't really know the matter. I would understand if the superstar in himself was like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to attend every WWE SmackDown because I have other things going around in my life, and thus kind of promoting WWE as a whole. But that's not the case. Even Logan Paul, he criticizes WWE. He criticizes WWE for the United States Championship not being defended a little more, often. I know this was kind of the case to, during the every single time Brock Lesnar held the title, to be honest. Kind of creating like a prestigious feel to the title. I know it, from TKO and plus UFC, usually a title, doesn't get defended maybe like three or four times tops a year because obviously what the UFC, they go through and stuff like that is a little more staunchly than WWE. Although WWE physically, emotionally, through stamina, endurance, and stuff like that, I feel like they endure a hell of a lot more than UFC stars. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Definitely. I don't know why Logan Paul doesn't defend his championship more often. Hopefully, we get a match with him and LA Knight at SummerSlam. Next, we're gonna have Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes will speak about the aftermath of the beatdown of Randy Orton from the new Young Bloodline. It's God. It's who's gonna take these guys down? It comes. It gets to the point where, like, you think about it where you kind of think the only person that could bring this thing down is probably Roman Reigns. Jacob Fatu, such an amazing superstar. So, someone that probably should have been within the original bloodline. Probably should have replaced Solo Sikoa. I'm just kidding. No. I'm just being mean. I'm just being mean. But right now, Solo, I still feel like he has not established himself to be in Roman Reigns' kind of empire, kind of his state of awesomeness in terms of, being prestigious, being a credible champion, being a fighter. So Solo Sikoa, he's heading towards SummerSlam. He's going to take on Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And to be honest, at this point, if Solo Sikoa loses, I think that's the last nail in the coffin. I got to be honest. They try so hard to push Solo. I feel like they pushed it a little bit more sooner than I thought. I thought Solo was going to go on a giant freaking roll up until like maybe a Survivor Series or but it's or Bash at Berlin. But there's just a lot. There's just a lot to take in place. They're trying, because if Roman Reigns comes back and takes on Solo Sikoa, people are going to be like, okay, so it's Roman against the new young bloodline. Solo Sikoa really doesn't mean crap. Solo Sikoa, right now, I feel like he's still kind of weak, being outperformed by your enforcer, Jacob Fatu, taking out DIY, taking out Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, taking out Randy. Like, it's crazy. And that's the reason why WWE held off on Jacob Fatu debuting within SmackDown, mostly because they didn't want him to outshine Solo Sikoa. And after what I've seen on WWE SmackDown, that's a legitimate concern, 1,010%. The fans, they warm up to Jacob Fatu more than Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, yes, he is that face. Maybe, some, I could see more of Solo Sikoa kind of like in that wise man kind of thing, and we in that place more than the tribal chief. But WWE has stated their claim. Solo Sikoa called himself the tribal chief, called out Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns for that matter 2 weeks ago on WWE Smackdown. So I don't know, it should be pretty interesting. Kevin Owens is also set to return tonight. We have the um, after what happened last week on Friday Night SmackDown, makes me think that Tamatonga and Togaloa are on their way to challenge DIY for the WWE Tag Team Championships, which ultimately kind of makes me sad because this whole time, you've seen Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa kind of rise up through the ranks of NXT. I would say like a year ago, year and a half ago to 2 years. And, essentially it was to no avail. To no avail. They were like, they won here and there, went back to NXT. They were like, oh, like WWE creative was like, oh crap, what are we going to do with DIY now? Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, heavily favorites from the crowd. Johnny Gargano is probably the ultimate underdog. Like, kind of gives me like a Shawn Michaels kind of feel with like a John Cena twist. But they ultimately turned them against each other. They turned them against each other, bringing them back together. I would say like 6 to 7 months after the whole aftermath between their unsanctioned match. So I feel like it'd be a huge mistake. It'd be a huge mistake for DIY to lose the championships just so soon. You had Theory and Grayson Waller lose their WWE Tag Team Championships 2 weeks ago. They had the rematch. You saw Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa DIY win them clearly back. Well, not clearly back, but from the rematch clause. So now Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are just kind of left in the boondocks. So, should be interesting to find out what more happens between the bloodline and stuff like that. Next, we have Blair Davenport. I feel like Blair Davenport's going to give another promo. Naomi's not happy, creating probably a rift between the two. More like a feud, a rivalry that's probably going to end in like a street fight or something like that. Blair Davenport trying to make a name for herself. Next, we have Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax's dilemma. You're going to see, once again, Tiffany Stratton is the Money in the Bank, Mrs. Money in the Bank. So obviously a lot of tension on the number one contender for WWE SummerSlam's Nia Jax. The men's briefcase, obviously you saw how that went with Drew McIntyre. It's gone. It's gone 1,010%. You still have the women's still kind of out there. Right now, WWE, I feel like they kind of have their matches focused on the champions. What I mean by that, I feel like they're going to treat the women's briefcase much like they treated the men's. Bailey, Nia Jax, been with the company for a pretty long time, but not yet so like exciting, gets the crowd excited. When Tiffany Stratton comes into the arena, you see the fans erupt. You see just the whole demeanor of the fans just absolutely go bonkers. You see her just antagonistic nature, just her, completely insane. Reminds me of like she wanted to be compared. No, wait, no, that was Chelsea Green. So like like a female version of the Miz. But Tiffany Stratton, I kind of see her kind of like a female version of Edge, Adam Copeland. I don't know if I lost you guys right there, but she just has that like in your face. Everything's done on Tiffy time. She put Roxanne Perez on blast. Bailey, also Liv Morgan, but I feel like at WWE SummerSlam, I see Bailey retain a hellacious match against Nia Jax. Then it comes the briefcase. In comes Tiffany Stratton to win the WWE Women's Championship, putting the SmackDown brand on her back, and Nia Jax being like, oh crap, I went from the leader to now I'm like the follower. So, building up more momentum, be like, you know what? You watch my back for a little while here. Nia, you watch my back for a little while. I swear down the line, I will give you a shot at this WWE Women's Championship. I feel like that makes the most sense. I feel like, with the men's briefcase kind of out, the women's briefcase, could be a little more prestigious than it actually, it is. It is 1,010%. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to diminish like women's wrestling or anything like that. But in the world of WWE, in the world of professional wrestling, it was always the men's briefcase. to kind of like be an absolute like wonder. So that makes me think one of two things. One, you get rid of it. You get rid of it early, like they did with the men's. Two, you have Tiffany Stratton have the best money in the bank, the women's money in the bank briefcase cash in of all time to kind of get with the men's. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously the women's money in the bank briefcase, came a little later down the line, which, obviously wasn't, women's wrestling and, wasn't their fault or anything like that. But, to, kind of add prestige and credibility to the women's money in the bank briefcase, I feel like, that would kind of put it over the top. So it'd be interesting to see which way. Obviously, through the spectrum, they are totally on different ends. So, excited to see what happens on WWE Smackdown, let alone, SummerSlam and stuff like that. Got a couple of confirmed matches real quick. We have Bianca Belair taking on Chelsea Green. Michin taking on Tiffany Stratton. Cody Rhodes teams up with the returning Kevin Owens. By the way, congratulations to Kevin Owens, his mom who kicked out of cancer. Huge round of applause. Thank God, 1,010%. Happy for you and your family, Kevin. Hope, all is well. Taking on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, who are, kind of nearing toward their end. They've been at ends with each other. Grayson Waller left Austin Theory to die against the Tonga twins, Tamatonga and Tongaloa. So I think tonight's gonna blow up on main event. When Raw goes off the air, you're gonna just see. I hope Austin Theory and Grayson Waller finally break up. It's about time. It's about time. Lastly, we had the undefeated boxing star Terrence Crawford. I'm not a huge boxing kind of guy, but undefeated in every boxing match. That's pretty damn crazy. That's pretty damn crazy. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to move on to our second segment, my Thursday night wrestling review, talking about Ring of Honor, TNA, and a little bit of the National Wrestling Alliance. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, talking all things professional wrestling. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE Smackdown preview, so make sure you check that out on the YouTube Podcasting Network and on the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Podcasting Network, excuse me. And we're going to dig into our Thursday night wrestling review. Just kind of, pulled up my notes here. But before we move on into that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So don't be afraid to hit up that chat. Don't be afraid to hit it, to the kindness of your heart, tip or donations. If not, just, send the chat, talk about all things professional wrestling. We'd love to hear from you guys. It really does help the show here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the network, the GSMC Sports Network, and follow the best wrestling show on air, the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, excuse me. Make sure you do that, or just simply subscribe to the show here. Make sure you follow the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So Thursday Night Wrestling review, we are heading toward TNA Slammiversary, a lot of crazy stuff. We see the No Quarter Catch crew taking on the Rascals. It's a pretty good match, but, of course, due to, Grisham appears to the stage, uh, prompting Kushida to chase him out of the impact zone. Then, taking advantage of the, distraction, something like the No Quarter Crouch likes to do to Evian Heights, Charlie Dempsey, Miles Bourne, they wind up victorious. They take down the Rascals, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and their tag team partner Kushida. I thought Kushida was probably, going to be featured being beat down in the back, with the Rascals having nobody else to turn to. But their former partner making his return to TNA would have been Wesley, but that did not happen. Kind of bummed me out. I thought it would have made for really, really good TV, especially heading towards Slammiversary, with a lot of WWE stars being rumored to be backstage on Slammiversary. Guys, Slammiversary is tomorrow. Slammiversary is tomorrow. Starts at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern on, what is it? TNA, Access TV, I believe it is. So we saw the No Quarter Catch crew defeat the Rascals. So, should be pretty interesting. People are suggesting that Wesley will join the Rascals at Slammiversary to reunite the Treehouse. But, I don't know. I thought that was going to happen tonight, but it didn't. So, I'm staying on high hopes, Next, we see Alicia Edwards, being accompanied by her tag team champion, one half of the world knockouts, tag team champion Masha Slamovich against Zaya Brookside. I was surprised because Alicia, her aim was to kind of humiliate Zaya Brookside, saying that she, basically doesn't belong anywhere near the titles, the TNA Knockouts titles, or the TNA Knockouts Championship for that matter. So, kind of crazy, but Masha Slamovich was about to fear that he saw Spitfire emerge from the back to stop her. Taking advantage of the distraction, Zaya Brookside hits a Brooksley bomb on Alicia Edwards, securing the victory. You saw Zaya Brookside defeat one half of the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Alicia Edwards. So then we saw a video package air featuring Santana, who passionately declares his intent to capture the TNA World Championship. He addresses the recent attacks from JDC to cost him the title shot, warning JDC that he's coming for him with a vengeance, with a crazy vengeance. An enraged Speedball, Mike Bailey storms into the ring, calling out Mustafa Ali ahead of their X Division Championship match at Slammiversary. Bailey demands Ali face him immediately, vowing not to leave until Ali comes to the ring. Ali appears on the screen, flanked by Campaign Singh and his security team. Ali agrees to face Bailey tonight, but only if Bailey can first conquer the Secret Service Gauntlet. So then we have the Secret Service Gauntlet. One by one, Bailey dismantles all four of Ali's Secret Service members, eagerly awaiting Mustafa Ali's arrival. However, Campaign Singh appears on stage, announcing that the gauntlet is yet to be over. Bailey must defeat him before Bailey can reach. Singh ambushes him, launching a vicious assault. Despite the onslaught, Bailey refuses to stay down and ultimately hits the Ultima weapon, taking out Singh. Then you saw Ali come out, and it was crazy. It was crazy trying to forcing the referee to count on a humiliated 3 count on Speedball. Mike Bailey, Ali taunts Speedball. Damn, this is crazy. This is getting pretty crazy, pretty personal, to be honest. But that's how, kind of Mustafa Ali, kind of handled his business a little bit. Something that, I miss from 205 Live, or when he was with Retribution and stuff like that, which is, kind of crazy, but that's kind of how all went down tonight. Mike Bailey is, kind of by himself. Trent Seven was there, but it's just not the same. The System's Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers take on Matt and Jeff Hardy for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. It was a pretty good match back and forth. You saw Matt and Jeff fight their hearts out. It was kind of cool to see them come back together after 7 years of being apart. Jeff and Matt hit Twist of Fate, and Jeff climbs up for the Swanton. However, JDC shoves Jeff off the top of the rope, causing a DQ. The System, JDC attack Matt, and Jeff with chairs, destroying Jeff and forcing Matt to watch. Security hits the ring, stop the assault. Jeff is severely hurt on the floor. Medics check on him and carry him out on the stretcher out of the building. The systems, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, they win the match. Well, not they don't win the match. They lost the match, but it was DQ. So they retained their champion. Obviously, champions advantage. So next we see that backstab, not backstabbing, but that total animal that is JDC taking on Mike Santana, who still has a huge chip on his shoulder thanks to JDC. JDC's just pissing everybody off, man. That's crazy. So the match ended up with like a chair entering the ring. JDC went for the chair, but Santana stops him, sending JDC headfirst into the post. Santana then grabs the chair, repeatedly smashes JDC with it, leading to his disqualifications. JDC defeats Mike Santana by disqualification. Next, we see a promo. We see Tom Hannafin interview, Jordan Grace discussing her upcoming title defense with Ash by Elegance at Slammiversary, as well as her recent WWE and NXT appearances. Once again, she was kind of mentioning how, and I kind of read this online that, she kind of gave a little teaser saying that nobody does anything bigger than a collaboration between NXT and TNA. So definitely think, it's going to get better. It's going to get bigger. And then you saw the personal concierge on the phone with Ash by Elegance, assuring her that everything is set up for her at Slammiversary. Meanwhile, Rosemary appears behind him, stalking him silently. She disappears before the notices her appearance. So, more just, kind of craziness. Then we see the TNA World Championship contract signing. Santino Marella is inside the ring to announce the participation of the six-man elimination match at Slammiversary. He starts with Josh Alexander, then Steve Macklin, followed by Frankie Kazarian, Joe Hendry, Moose, and then lastly, Nick Nemeth, who's actually absent due to injury, appears on the screen to provide a health update. He apologizes and assures everyone that he will be medically cleared in 2 days by Slammiversary. So the contract was passed on and on and on. Moose snatches it from Joe Hendry to sign it before him. As Hendry is about to sign, First Class Music hits and AJ Francis and Rick Swann enter the Impact Zone. AJ expresses confusion over the contract signing, claiming that he is in the real main event with PCO. He acknowledges everyone in the match except Joe Hendry while Swan dances around. Santino's instincts, he instructs AJ Francis to leave the ring. Suddenly, PCO emerges from out of nowhere and starts beating the hell out of Rick Swann and AJ Francis. He flips the table, dives on Francis, igniting chaos inside of the ring. Moose is about to powerbomb Hendry through the table, but Alexander intervenes with a punch. Joe Hendry then delivers a standing ovation to Moose through the table. Josh hands Hendry the contract, and Hendry signs it as his music blares through the speaker. Say his name, man. He appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. All right, so now we're going to move on to Ring of Honor. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of stuff heading toward Death Before Dishonor. Today, we saw Lance Archer and the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch, defeat Dalton Castle and the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. It was a really, really good match. But, like I said before, Archer and I think it was and the Righteous are they're on fire right now. They're on fire 1,010%. I do feel like, ever since you saw the Bang Bang Gang relinquish their six-man tag team championships, of course they relinquished their, it was unified, the trios, the AEW Trios Championship as well as the six-man championship. So, more with that. Next, we saw Red Velvet defeat Maya World. Velvet was gearing to face to face Ring of Honor's Women's TV Champion Billie Stark at Death Before Dishonor, and she was looking to make a statement in her match within the world, through the student within Athena, and kind of coincidental, but kind of crazy. So, next, we see Katsuyori Shibata defeat the Evil Uno. Uno entered the ring in a Mick Foley-esque shirt and tie combo. Clearly had something on his mind. He grabbed the mic and cut a promo about how he's working hard, for 20 years and has done it all. He said the easiest way to be considered one of the greats is to battle the greats from all around the world. He called out an open challenge and was answered by the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Shibata. In an impromptu match, you saw Shibata take the victory. Next, we see Cage of Agony, Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Toba Leona defeating Cappuccino Jones, Harlan Hutchinson, and Austin Valentino. Once again, heading more toward, trios matchups and stuff like that. Definitely love that. You see Queen Aminata defeat Mackenzie Morgan, kind of like a squash match. Then you saw Diamante in a lights out match, unsanctioned, no rep, everything was full game. Everything was full game. The arena dimmed, the contest between Diamante and Hirsch. The lights, they were not actually dim. The ring was littered with chairs, kendo sticks, tables, and all other assorted weapons. Kind of crazy how this all went down, but kind of like what I thought. Diamante then delivered a massive code red to Hirsch, driving her through the table and getting the 1, 2, 3. And of course, obviously, you have Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, right around the corner. So, you have Roderick Strong taking on the Ring of Honor World Champion, Mark Briscoe, who's in Blood and Guts next week on Dynamite. So, kind of crazy. So, just a quick little NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance Power episode. You saw a couple of matches. I think the show only runs for like an hour. It's kind of crazy. So you saw the finals for the Crockett Cup. The National Wrestling Alliance World Women's Tag Team Championship. We saw King B's, Charity King, and Dana B, defeat Tiffany Neves and also Rika Tahaka. And then Tahaka. The National Wrestling Alliance's World Heavyweight Champion EC3, of course, retains his championship against Sam Adonis, which is no surprise. EC3 is, mostly holding that company on his back. 1,010% got to pay respects to that. Then you saw Crockett Cup Finals, the Southern Six, Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor with Ricky Morton defeat the Immortals, Kratos and Odin's son, after a low blow by Kerry Morton. Kind of crazy. The Southern Six celebrated the win. Cut a good post-match promo. So there you have it. Your Thursday night wrestling review, Ring of Honor, TNA, and a splash of the NWA. All right, guys. Well, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into AEW Rampage on tonight. Then we're going to talk about Saturday Night Collision. We're going to preview it, talk about all the cool things, all the things that kind of suck. No, I'm just kidding. No, in the world of wrestling, nothing sucks. So, hey, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite popcorn. Well, not grab your favorite popcorn. What kind of popcorn is it? Cheese, caramel, regular, kettle corn. I'm not a huge fan of kettle corn. I don't know why. I feel like popcorn, shouldn't really be sweet until maybe it's at the end of the year where you're prepping up for Christmas. When you go to Walmart or Target where you have these big bins of popcorn, Cracker Jacks. I love myself some Cracker Jacks, but it's like Solamente on Elevate Sport games. So, stay with me. We're going to jump on into my third segment. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. We had our WWE Smackdown preview. We also talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling review, step into the world of Ring of Honor, the Ring of TNA Impact, and also we touched on a little bit of new of National Wrestling Alliance. So now we're gonna dig on to our next segment, AEW Dynamite and Collision preview. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Ultimately, be a part of the show. Be part of the show. I definitely love a lot of audience engagement. The show's a hell of a lot better with you guys participating in it 1,010%. Hope you guys had an amazing week. It is Friday. Hope you guys are preparing for an awesome weekend. It is pretty hot in Southern California, so there could be a lot of things that are, you could be prepping your family for, which is pretty dope. So don't be afraid to hit up the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns about professional wrestling. So yeah, let's go ahead and dig on into this AEW Rampage. And, let's go and dig on into Rampage and Collision. All right. So obviously tonight, as well as Friday night SmackDown, you're going to have AEW Rampage. And why is it doing that? It's weird. Okay, there we go. There we go. AEW Rampage and Collision are over the weekend, but first we're going to start off with Rampage. AEW Dynamite 250. Pretty awesome. First and foremost, got to start off with, congratulating Tony Khan within this, with his bookings and stuff like that. 775,000 viewers. Damn near impressive. For a wrestling promotion. I feel like that's pretty good. Especially with only having like 5 years under your belt. WWE/WWF was the WWF. Like they just, years and years to build up that collateral. I like it. I like that AEW is, still in the fray, not backing down, still never calling it quits. At this point, like I mentioned before on this podcast, tons and tons and tons of times that if you're trying to compare yourself to WWE, if you think your wrestling promotion is a failure because you compare yourself to WWE, you gotta brush that off, man. Gotta brush that off because obviously WWE's been around for such a long time. It's crazy. That's like, developing like kind of like a wheat, maybe like an oats, cereal with a little bit of honey, and then comparing it to Cheerios. Although your cereal is selling pretty good, and then you're like, oh, like Cheerios is selling like crazy. My business is failing. It's not. How long has Cheerios been in the business? Am I comparing cereal to wrestling promotions? Yes. I'm just kidding. My favorite cereal is like Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch, it's kind of like the Shawn Michaels of cereal. I'm just kidding. Moving on. So we have, we saw an hour-long bout between MJF and Will Ospreay. Obviously, you kind of have to fill in that TV time. So there's no doubt in my mind that this episode of Rampage and also Collision are, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. So Rampage, we had the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, and teaming up with Rey Fenix, taking on Private Party. The history between the OGs of AEW tag team wrestling. It's kind of crazy. These guys have been with each other for so damn long. So damn long, ever since their birth in 2019, which is kind of cool. I like how AEW doesn't really, when tag team wrestlers kind of come into the mix and when they jump into, singles competition, like for example, you saw Rey Fenix take on Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. I believe it was like a month ago. You didn't see Penta El Zero, Miedo turn his back on him. No, you didn't. You didn't see that. That's like a WWE thing. Just because somebody decides to have a singles push doesn't necessarily mean you have to ditch your tag team partner. And that's something I feel like AEW has done really, really well. Love that. Like I said, the history between, the OGs of AEW tag team wrestling. The last tag team encounter they had was just about 2 years ago, exactly. July 15th of 2022. On Rampage, you saw these 4 individuals go at it, but it was won by the Lucha Brothers, Will Penta and Phoenix, make it a third straight win against San Quinn. Should be interesting to find out. Next, we have Minoru Suzuki taking on the Butcher Suzuki challenge for the FTW championship within Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho didn't like it because, originally when the Bad Apple was injured, heading toward Forbidden Door, they reached out to Suzuki to, kind of back him up a little bit. But Suzuki was like, you know what? I answered you back. Not because I want to be your friend, not because I want to tag team, not because I want to be Chris Jericho's next little branch in his learning tree. He wants that FTW championship. And, No one's more sicker, no one's more maniacal than the original badass of New Japan Professional Wrestling, Minoru Suzuki, taking on the Butcher tonight. Suzuki's looking to build up momentum and have a statement against Chris Jericho, who he challenges for the FTW Championship at Blood and Guts next Wednesday on Dynamite. We will see. I feel like there's ultimately going to be an interference. Why wouldn't there? You have the Bad Apple and also the Big Redwood, Big Bill, being barred from ringside from Chris Jericho's match against Suzuki. So you're going to see them interfere. You're going to see a beatdown. You're going to see Suzuki. I feel like right now, Chris Jericho, I feel like he can be prominent without the championship. He can be featured within the storyline without losing his FTW championship. When he won the championship, I kind of ultimately thought he was kind of like a bridge champion, maybe like a transitional champion, is someone, who's better. Recently, Ring of Honor has had that partnership created between New Japan Professional Wrestling, CMLL, Stardom, and, what's the other one? Ring of Honor. So, definitely a lot of, open opportunities. You saw Willow of Nightingale win the championship that Stephanie Procure, vacated when she went for WWE. It wouldn't shock me if tonight one of the huge shocks was Chris Jericho losing the championship against Suzuki. Would kind of open things up against him, Hook, Shibata. So yeah, honestly thinking a lot of crazy stuff heading toward a Rampage tonight. Then we have the conglomeration of Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the Undisputed Kingdom, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong, like I said, has a Ring of Honor World Championship match at Death Before Dishonor, July 26th. July 26th. I think it's next Sunday. No, next Saturday. Next Saturday. When are we going to see Adam Cole back? When are we going to see Adam Cole make his return to the Undisputed Kingdom? Obviously, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly still, he with his former running mates with the Undisputed Kingdom. Roderick Strong refuses to attack. Well, not refuses to attack Kyle O'Reilly, but like refuses to hit cheap shots because they're friends, they're boys. Like I kind of mentioned before in my last segment, the AEW Trios Championship, as well as the Ring of Honor 6-man Championship, is absolutely up for grabs. The conglomeration could be champions. The Undisputed Kingdom could be champions, although Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, I feel like, has had their fair share, with that championship bout in Ring of Honor, but nobody really has the guts or the success to kind of take them on. So you would be kind of crazy to see what happens with that. Next, we have Chris Statlander is going to be in action ever since she turned her back on Willow of Nightingale. And since she lost to her in the Owen Hart Cup quarterfinals. Yeah, quarterfinals. So, I don't know. I like what they're doing with the Chris Statlander's character. I honestly really do like that. She has not yet really achieved any success. Her moving on to fight Willow of Nightingale, maybe for that, CMLL championship, could possibly be a future for her. Could possibly be like a great way to put the championship on someone who, they have a feud together. More problems coming in the future, definitely. So, kind of crazy. Next, you're going to see the Learning Tree and tag team competition. Chris Jericho and Big Bill, the Big Redwood. All right, so now we're going to move on to AEW's Collision. Collision taking on, Saturday night. We have Luchador Hologram will make his debut. Darby Allin fights the Beast Mortos after being injured for 2 months. The last time you saw Darby Allin was in Anarchy in the Arena, where he was lighting Jack Perry on fire, being held upside down, being super kicked to death from cleats, from, thumbtacks, on the heels of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Kind of crazy. In an interview, Darby Allin said he was super excited, super stoked to come back to AEW. He has a whole bunch of, he has a lot of plans within the company, with a lot of plans that's going to shake things up a little bit. And he said what he has in store is sick as fudge. So it should be pretty interesting. Next, you're going to see the Patriarchy taking on the Bang Bang Gang. Christian Cage, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne taking on the Guns and Juice Robinson after Switchblade Jay White was injured. Ultimately, the Bang Bang Gang was told to forfeit their unified tag team championships. It was, it was kind of a doozy. They've had the trios and the six-man tag team championship for so damn long, absolutely so damn long. So, kind of seeing this news come out, it's a little shocking. It was a little upsetting. I still feel like ultimately you still see the patriarchy, you still see the Bang Bang Gang, possible, trios championships heading forward. I got a chat from Lowly Cute. Hi. Hope you're having a great night. Hope you're getting ready for a great weekend. Hope you had a good week. Enjoying your Friday, of course. Keep hitting up that chat link, talking about professional wrestling. And next we have Deonna Purrazzo taking on Thunder Rosa in a lumberjack match. For one, I'm totally super stoked to see how this kind of unfolds. I love lumberjack matches. Obviously, I anticipate it's going to be full of AEW women's superstars. But Thunder Rosa, man, Thunder Rosa plays by nobody else's rules but her own. She really hasn't been featured on Dynamite for a little while. She's been featured on Collision, holding up that women's brand on both Collision and Rampage. So definitely got to pay respects to that. Next, we have Sky Blue versus the three-time AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida. A lot of great matches tonight. On Saturday on Collision, a lot of great matches heading toward a Rampage. So yeah. Well, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to move on into our fourth segment. We're going to talk about AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery finally hit an agreement. I feel like they've hit an agreement. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about all things about professional wrestling, all the stuff behind the curtains, all the action inside and outside of the ring, superstar updates, et cetera, free agents and all that, contract signings, contract expirations. So, make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE Smackdown review. We also talked about our my Thursday night wrestling preview. Step into the ring of TNA Impact. Also the world of Ring of Honor. Today we talked a little bit about the National Wrestling Alliance Power episode on the CW. We crowned new Crockett Cup champions. Crockett Cup obviously has been around for such a long time. Jim Crockett Promotions absorbed by WCW, then obviously, along down the line, it all ended up WWE. But no, it was cool. It was cool once again to kind of see the NWA. I love nostalgic things, and I feel like that's something wrestling fans could definitely relate to. Like, for example, when you're, have you ever been to like a pool party? Obviously, you guys, my audience is full of very popular people. I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not just kidding. I'm not saying that you're, not popular. But, whenever somebody like, hey man, hand me a beer, then someone throws you a beer, you don't have that like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that's, or like the water bottle from Triple H. You grab the water bottle, take a sip, look around a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something that wrestling fans only really can connect to other wrestling fans. And it's cool. It's cool. 1,010% of, love it. Absolutely love it. So let's go ahead and talk about our AEW, newly founded partners. Well, not newly founded, but, it's about damn time. Honestly, it's about damn time. This agreement has been kind of lingering in the wicks of professional wrestling news for a long time. So yeah, let's go and dig on into it. So AEW content is now popping up on Max streaming services internationally. It's not fully available on Max just yet, although it is It's in the future. It's in the future. It's definitely going to happen, which I love for Tony Khan. We are set in a positive direction for All Elite Wrestling to kind of further, their media rights with, with the Warner Brothers Discovery Company. Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, and other pay-per-views will now be available on Max internationally. And will AEW kind of remain on Sundays with the WWE PLEs coming back to Sundays because of their contract with TKO? You know what? I think they will. Ultimately, I still think, because you do have Saturday with Collision. This could be a way for them to move back to Saturdays. If I was part of like an AEW, if I was part of the AEW creative talking to Tony Khan, WWE has established so much success on Saturdays for one of two reasons. Well, no, for one of two reasons. One being the more, kind of more practical, a little bit kind of like obvious. The less obvious is you obviously do like, come on, dude, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. You have UFC. You either have UFC fans or you don't. Heading toward the future, especially towards college football and stuff like that, it's going to be kind of hard to deal. It's going to be kind of hard to deal. And plus, you already have AEW Collision on that matter. And, for the main reason is, you're going to have Saturdays open. WWE moved to Saturdays because they're internationally. And with AEW signing this new contract with Warner Brothers Discovery, you're going to see a lot more AEW happening overseas. It's going to be just like the WWE. I wouldn't be surprised if you see AEW take pay-per-views into Abu Dhabi, into Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, into England or Wales. Obviously they have their All In at Wembley Stadium. So it wouldn't surprise me if they go on Saturdays because WWE moved to Saturdays because like Mondays, that's the work week. That's when it all starts. That's when it all goes down. And not a lot of people want to, stay up to like 2 a.m. to watch your wrestling promotion, get done at 4, take a 2-hour nap, and then have to go back to work. That's why WWE moved to Saturdays. So I feel like AEW would benefit so much if they moved to Saturdays because, UFC is kind of twisting WWE's arm. They're like, hey, you got to move to Sundays. You got to move to Sundays. It's more prominent. It's more successful. But most importantly, it benefits both of us. And, AEW, I feel like they should take advantage of this, to be honest, being brutally honest. So Tony Khan wants a permanent streaming service for AEW and their fans. HBO Max, well, not Max, has been a hub for TV watchers and all over the world. Obviously you have the Game of Thrones things. You have, just a lot of other prominent TV shows that a lot of people watch. A lot of advertising the AEW could kind of get into, definitely could touch a little bit of different grounds, trying to bring in new audience members from the age demographic of 18 to 42, that starred demographic that wrestling fans ultimately kind of come from. So, Tony Khan, the reason why he's heading toward Max is popular as hell. Everybody has HBO Max. Well, not everybody, but look at the success that WWE had partnering with Peacock. Look at the success they had, developing their own WWE network. When you kind of have that outlet where people can constantly watch your things, and now AEW has the rights to the Library of Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, and the CMLL internationally. It's going to be a juggernaut. You're going to see AEW probably grow within new heights that you would never, ever think that they would ever, ever reach in their whole entire existence. And they've only been a company for 5 years. Just because the WWE is the WWE, and just because AEW averages about 500,000 fans, which from a wrestling promotion that's only 5 years old, that's good. That's good. 1,010%. That's amazing. That's honestly what you should be heading for. That's honestly what you should be looking for. Not a failure by far, but AEW, promising things heading toward HBO Max. Definitely love this. Definitely love the move and all that. Like I said, WWE Peacock, you don't have to deal with, spending money on pay-per-views every single damn month. I, probably spent about $150 on, pay-per-views for AEW. I watched Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door, I think I watched another one. I can't. I watched Dynasty, and it was cool. Money well spent, yeah. But with the streaming services now, you're gonna have the pay-per-views on HBO. It's on not HBO. It's gonna be on Max, so it should be good. Should be pretty cool. Should be pretty cool. So it's been rumored that AEW and the Warner Brothers Discovery Company did have a deal on the table for a while now. AEW content on Max is available, of course, outside of the United States and Canada. So, kind of got me think that why is Tony Khan waiting so long on, trying to pull the trigger on this, and he had this to say, and I quote, Tony Khan said, I think one of the reasons why I've waited so long is I think when we get this streaming contract figured out, it should be long-term. It should be a long-term solution for our fans. Well, yeah, dude, that's like, obviously, Mr. Khan, that's, something that's, no-brainer. And he had this to say, it's amazing that we've accomplished what we've accomplished within 5 years. Not only some of the best pay-per-views in the last several of decades, but I think, honestly, some of the best pay-per-views, I've ever seen. And you know what? With this, I don't really have much to fight about this. I kind of agree. The WWE PLEs don't feature every single title match like it used to do back in, early WWE, late WWF, the Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression Era. So the fact that they put every title on the line, I really like it. I really like that they have promos, they have storylines that, kind of have a deadline. You kind of have to have this done in a month because when this pay-per-view is up, something's got to give. And the fans know that. And the fans know that that's the reason why they're kind of kept on the edge of their seat for the longest time. Well, WWE thinks that they can, what was it? Money in the Bank, you had 5 matches last 3.5 hours. Just a lot of talking, a lot of backstage promos and stuff like that. And by all means, when you're a huge wrestling conglomerate like WWE, you can do that. Hell yeah, you could do that. Why would you want to, risk your superstars getting hurt every single month during a PLE or travel issues? Like, you know what I mean? From a WWE standpoint, you are protecting your superstars. And, that's cool. But the audience is not really for it. I have not been for it. I hated WWE Money in the Bank. I hated when Drew McIntyre cashed in. The best match was probably, to be honest, the women's Money in the Bank match. And that's just me being brutally honest. You saw Damian Priest botch a kick out. You saw Tungaloa botch a low blow. It wasn't cool. And WWE has always had that in their back pocket. Being, we're the best wrestling company. Who's going to touch us? Who's going to touch us? Why should we care? Why should we add 8 or 10 matches on top of it? Yeah, if you want to have that same mindset, I guess you're right. Even though I hate it, you bet your ass I'm going to watch it. I'm still going to watch 5 matches that take 3.5 hours. I can't say no. I'm a wrestling fan. So definitely, I love AEW and that kind of aspect of it. Love Tony Khan. Wish the best for them heading toward Max. So AEW, it's on the right path. Definitely on the right path. Definitely getting this contract done with Warner Brothers Discovery is a huge, clap, round of applause. Thank God. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys, we are on our 5th and final segment. Sorry I kept you guys overtime. I know you guys are highly waiting for Emran's soccer podcast taking point at 9:30 p.m. on the GSMC Sports Network. Stick with me. We're going to talk about a wrestling news roundup. So, hey, do not go anywhere. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, talking all things professional wrestling on the GSMC Sports Network, here on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Just going to reflect on what we talked about. We talked about our WWE Smackdown review. We had my Thursday Night Wrestling review. We had Smackdown preview, excuse me. And, we talked about TNA. We talked about Ring of Honor, a little bit about the NWA. Then we talked about AEW Rampage and Collision. AEW coming to an agreement with Warner Brothers Discovery, finally. And lastly, we're going to talk about all the major news happening within the professional wrestling circuit. Everything that, you kind of get kind of see on Instagram and you're like, oh, that's crazy. So, yeah, let's go ahead and dig on into that. So, yeah, if I can find it, there we go. All right, a wrestling news roundup. So we are facing major global issues in our nation, in the United States, affecting travel plans for professional wrestling. Absolutely IT issues, which is, I don't want to be the one to be like, hey, like that conspiracy theorist to be like, hey, I told you so. Like, you know what I mean? But if you rely on technology so damn much, like it's something's got to give. Something's got to give. So, this is obviously, troublesome. Obviously, a lot of things that a lot of negative aspects, a lot of negative consequences and actions that come from this. Technical disasters affecting government agencies and businesses. It's leading to stranded passengers who, as well as canceled medical procedures, disrupted 911 services. The issue has this issue has paralyzed airlines, banks, state agencies, and emergency services worldwide. That's crazy. That's insane. Obviously, depending a lot on your technological advances within within the world, it's a very delicate situation. I only say that because obviously I was kind of brought up right before the digital era really kind of took off, which I feel like the digital era really took off in 2009, 2010. I honestly did not have my first cell phone until I was like 21 years old. 21 years old. And I was like, I had those flip phones for a little while when you had to buy minutes. I remember buying minutes, or the Nicola phones, the Nicola. He used to have the game Snake on it. It's technology is ruling this world. And that's, obviously this is a wrestling podcast, but when we're kind of dealing with this issue and stuff like that, it's just, it's kind of crazy how it kind of comes all full circle. It's kind of, how does IT issues or cyber attacks affect the world of wrestling? This is exactly why. So many delays. We had over 2,700 flights canceled and 9,000 delayed, according to FlightAware.com. So, definitely kind of crazy. Wish the best. Obviously, we do have TNA Impact's Slammiversary. Hopefully, nothing happens to the point where the main event has to be altered. Hopefully, nothing really happens like that. I feel like this was a real issue. I feel like this was, this kind of got serious when WWE Smackdown decided to have double tapings tonight at, in Omaha, Nebraska. They are filming the SmackDown for the 26th. So definitely made me think that, okay, maybe they are kind of gearing for it to maybe possibly get worse. But I know it's just kind of crazy how real global issues could affect the world of professional wrestling. So 1,010%, kind of crazy. Next, we have Hikuleo from New Japan Professional Wrestling has officially joined the WWE. The ink's dry, contract is signed, and we are ready to introduce another person into the young bloodline. So, kind of crazy, the brother of Tamatonga and Tongaloa. So when will he make his debut? I am not too sure. Maybe perhaps it could be to cost Cody Rhodes the WWE Undisputed Championship at WrestleMania 39. He was cost the WWE champion, the Universal and Undisputed Championship from Roman Reigns because of, the attack by one of his families and stuff like that. Just a lot of, they're bringing in the fifth member. The bloodline that I know, obviously, 4 members, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Roman Reigns, of course, the Wise Man. So maybe the Wise Man kind of leaves that open a little bit. maybe perhaps they don't need a wise man. They're wise man and their tribal chief is one in Solo Sikoa. All I know is this guy, Hikuleo, New Japan Professional Wrestling star, is dynamite. This guy has a lot of talent. This guy is kind of on that Jacob Fatu kind of level. It's kind of sad, and I don't want to be mean. It's kind of sad how every member of the Bloodline is better than Solo Sikoa. They are better than Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, you trash. Step down. You should not even be the enforcer. I'm just kidding. No, he should be the shoe shiner. I'm just kidding. No, don't. But Hikuleo, the Tamatonga, the Tongan twins, Tongaloa, Jacob Fatu are all very phenomenal superstars and wrestlers that come from the MLW, that has come from, a lot of other independent wrestling circuits like New Japan Professional Wrestling. And they're better than Solo. I would rather see them in the ring with Solo. I mean, instead of Solo. It's crazy. But, we are stuck with the hand we are dealt. We have this very impressive the younger brother of Tomatonga and Tongaloa making his way to WWE finally. It's been rumored for at least 4 months now. When I started, doing the show, it's been rumored for the longest time. Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Next, we have the news that The Undertaker wanted more for the Ministry of Darkness. Obviously, you saw the Ministry of Darkness, Viscera, Minion, Farouk and Bradshaw. You also saw Edge, Christian, Paul Bearer, and Gangrel. But The Undertaker wanted more. He wanted to take it into a direction that was a little more eerie. He said that he wanted to, he was pushing for, while he was on the 6 Feet Under podcast, he said, and he aimed to use more sinister imagery as well as symbolism. He wanted to push to make people feel highly uncomfortable. And you got that to a certain extent. Obviously, the crucifixion of Stephanie McMahon was kind of crazy. But I feel like once when you kind of had the Bray Wyatts of the world, and now that you see WWE enter into this PG era, once when it was the Attitude Era, once when you kind of had The Undertaker doing his thing from the Ministry of Darkness, maybe perhaps you could have had something happen within the Attitude Era that could absolutely scare the pants off of viewers. Think The Undertaker, dude, this complete, absolute badass, dude. The Undertaker, give him all the credit in the world, and I will, 1,010%. But I've seen his past matches. I've seen his past pay-per-views, with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H. And he didn't win all the time. As a matter of fact, he was kind of understated a little bit. And that's my opinion, 1,010%. I feel like The Undertaker was, the one thing he really had to cherish was that undefeated streak at WrestleMania. He didn't really have the accolades. He's not a 5 or 6 time WWE World Champion. The reason why I feel like Vince McMahon didn't want the Ministry of Darkness to kind of get a little more overboard was ultimately I didn't feel like he wanted them to outshine anybody else. And I know that might be a little ignorant to say, maybe you have the mat on for Vince McMahon. But through Vince McMahon's actions, through the way Vince McMahon was portrayed, the way he is, it wouldn't surprise me if that was exactly the case. That The Undertaker was somebody that should have been a 16-time world champion. Hell yeah. Oh my God, yes. That should have happened. But it never did. It never did because The Undertaker was complacent. He obviously backed up Vince McMahon 1,010%. He was a team player. He's a team player. Definitely something that, he wasn't very hellacious in the backstage. He wasn't confrontational with Vince McMahon. He went out there. He did exactly what you wanted him to do. Maybe, just maybe, if he would have pushed a little bit, maybe we would see The Undertaker be more of a sinister looking guy. What he originally wanted to do, shake up the audience, make them feel uncomfortable, get them scared, bring in that horror movie kind of esque, feel grotesque, a little bit of gory, a little bit of just Amityville kind of, scary feeling. It could have been done right in the right hands. It would have been amazing. But The Undertaker, ultimately, it didn't really happen. Tell me how you feel in the comment section. Tell me how you feel how The Undertaker, did during his Ministry of Darkness walk. All right, next we have the Tonga Twins spotted at the WWE Performance Center. Tahini and also Talavao, they were spotted at the WWE Performance Center. Could we be heading toward a female bloodline? Maybe. I doubt it, but I feel like, just kind of flirting with that idea would be pretty badass. They departed from a WoW Wrestling, Women of Wrestling, and, due to allegations of bullying other superstars and stuff like that. Really not a good look. Really not a good look on the on the Tongan twins or the Tonga, whatever, Tonga, Tama, whatever. I'm not really sure you want to bring bullies into your wrestling promotion, WWE. Like, just because, you might like do this wrestling, this new women's bloodline and stuff like that. Nia Jax, Tamina, maybe even Naomi joins or something like that. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it 1,010%. I would, to be honest, I would kind of hate for these Tonga twins to make their debut within WWE 1,010%. What WWE is they're a huge family. You don't really want any antagonistic people within that. Kind of reminds me of like a CM Punk kind of twins, just here to disrupt the flow. Absolutely, the moment you sign them, be like, oh, we want to be women's tag team champions, or hey, I want to be the champion on Raw. I want to be the champion on SmackDown. Just you don't want to deal with selfish wrestlers. And ultimately, I feel like bringing these, once when you're kind of accused of, allegations, and it is 1,010% allegations. But, I feel like right now, what you have with the NXT roster, you have Julia, you also have Stephanie McCure in the Winks. It's something that's promising. It's something that's promising. So hopefully, they were just there to cheer on their family or whatever. Would not want to see them within WWE. All right, now we have Matt Riddle in the news again. Ex-WWE star Matt Riddle wants to fight Jake Paul, obviously the brother of Logan Paul. Jake called out Riddle's constant desire to fight. Tension is fueling between these two. Matt Riddle had this to say because Jake Paul said that, like, really, Matt Riddle? Who is that? Sounds like a guy who just wants a paycheck. But Matt Riddle responded on social media saying that I will forfeit all money. Knocking him out is worth more than any amount of money. So maybe something that could be in the prom. Obviously, you see the kickboxing nature of Matt Riddle, the MMA, also professional wrestling. So this could be this would be a really great match. I would honestly love to see this match more than Jake Paul taking on Mike Tyson. Obviously, Mike Tyson dealing with health issues. It was rumored and actually confirmed that they reached out to Logan Paul to fight his own brother instead of Mike Tyson. So, Matt Riddle just rattling up the cages could possibly be, something for the future within professional wrestling because, you see these two guys, Jake Paul, his brother, like I said. I like Matt Riddle. I miss Matt Riddle being on the WWE roster. Definitely think that he still has a lot to do within professional wrestling. So, yeah. All right, next we have Sting took to social media, took to Twitter to speak about Britt Baker taking a page out of his playbook. He said, and I quote, "It's showtime, DMD," which is awesome. I definitely think that's awesome. Love that they used the Sting mask within that. Sting recently retired from AEW like about 4 months ago, but it was kind of cool to see a legend, a WCW legend. If you would have made it to WWE, would have been a WWE legend, a TNA legend, and an AEW legend. Definitely in all four of those Hall of Fames, which is pretty cool, which is pretty dynamite. Sting, when he made it onto the books of WCW, I loved it. I loved seeing Sting. I loved seeing his character. He was like just that vigilante. Kind of remind me of like a Undertaker meets like kind of like a Batman kind of approach, kind of like, character development and stuff like that. Then you saw, Britt Baker, DMD, having that get up, taking on Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné. And Mercedes Moné, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to get the cops involved. I'm going to, dude, that's wrestling. That's just, that's just professional wrestling. So absolutely love to see that. Absolutely love to see a little bit of nostalgia within professional wrestling. So, yeah, 1,010%. Well, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys had an amazing week. Hope you guys enjoyed my show. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. So don't forget to leave a kind comment. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. If I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, I want to remind you guys to just kind of reflect on sports. Remember that we got my man Tommy talking about college football. College football is right around the corner. We also have Manny with the Chip Shot Football Podcast, Kenneth with the GSMC Football Podcast. We have football right around the corner. And when it comes to football, fantasy leagues, fantasy. Chris Shepard on his GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast talk about, who you should draft, who you should, if you're a betting man, bet your money on. So make sure you tune into that. We got TJ and Jeremy on sports. We also have my boy Nelson on basketball, my boy Sam on baseball, and also the Andrew Tate podcast. So make sure you check that out on the GSMC Sports Network. That's it for me. Hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Remember to have plans. Hug your loved ones, and just take life one day at a time. Enjoy your weekend. Definitely love you guys. One last time, I believe in Joe Hendrick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to